Hello, guys. I live in Charleston, South Carolina. I'm a full-time musician. I play drums and lead sing. I'm looking to be one of the first musicians in Charleston to really use SEO Google Ads the right way. Any suggestions? It's a really good question. That's a good question. I don't know. SEO and Google Ads. I'm trying to think of how you could do it with GMB stuff, but I don't think it'd be very difficult because as a musician, you're going to travel to different venues to perform instead of have like your own venue. You know what I mean? Most likely. So that would be difficult. But to use SEO and Google Ads, well, it depends. I mean, again, that's one I'd have to think through quite a bit, Quentin, because it's not something that I've done in the past. But I would probably think that you would want to just optimize for your name or your band's name, right? Either your name or your band's name or both, because or band or group or whatever. You say you play drums, so I'm assuming you're in a band. My point is, I would probably optimize for that because as people get to know who you are, they'll start searching for you or your band's name, right? And so I would optimize for that. I mean, you could go generally to start getting some exposure. Like, for example, you know, I don't really do searches for live, you know, for music in my town. So I don't really know what type of search queries people would look for. But you could start, for example, let's walk through this because we got a couple minutes. But go to Google Trends. That's where I would start because that's where I always start for any type of new industry, guys. Whenever I'm trying to figure out the best way to start marketing via SEO or even Google Ads at that point, I always start with Google Trends. Always. Okay. So come to Google Trends, and I don't know what kind of music you play because you didn't specify, but I don't know. Let's just see what live music brings up. So I just put live music in. By default, it's going to be set for United States, and it's going to show data for the past 12 months. But what I would do is I would narrow this down from maybe down to a city level. So you said Charleston. I'd start at a city level, but you might have to broaden it out a little bit. Charleston, South Carolina, right? That is what he said, right? Yeah, South Carolina. Okay. And then this is only for the past 12 months. Sometimes that won't be enough data, especially on just a city level. So you might want to pull it back to either the regional level or even to a state level, which I'll demonstrate that here in just a second. But something like right there, we've been talking about this for months now, guys. Ever since July 2018, the near me keywords are by far the most rapidly growing keyword or type of query, a near me query. And so that's where I'm starting for all my GMB assets now is I'm looking to do location research with near me keywords. That's where I start with my research. So this just goes to show you live music near me in just the past 12 months has had a 120% increase in search interest in Charleston, South Carolina. So specifically in that city, right? So my point is, you could literally start optimizing for live music near me, right? That's a search query that could be optimized for. How do you do that, right? Because people ask me that all. Well, how do you optimize for near me keywords? It doesn't read naturally. Well, for example, with GMB posts, which Google My Business posts, we do a lot of, and again, I just mentioned that's where I start now is always targeting near me keywords because they're driving a ton of traffic right now. So we'll put in like the first line of the GMB post was, did you just search? And then we put in quotes, live music near me, ? Well, look no further. You just found it. And then you can spit out some details about the venue and your business or excuse me, the band. Obviously you'd want to associate live music near me with your band name. So you'd want to make sure that your band name was present in that post, as well as maybe the venue that you're performing at, that kind of stuff. And so that way you're working that keyword directly into in a non-spammy way, right? Did you just search live music near me? Or just search live music near me? Or, you know, there's multiple ways you could reword that to where it still reads okay. So that's one way you could do it. Live music Charleston, obviously that's with the local modifier. These are just rising terms. If you take a look at the top terms, okay, apparently that's it. But my point is you can start targeting with those as more of a general way to get people to introduce to who you and your band are, right? But then what I was saying was as your notoriety begins to increase, right? As you become more known in your local area and beyond, then you would probably, I would recommend optimizing for your band's name or your name if you're the, the lead or whatever. So that because people will begin to search for your name, right, through brand, and that's so you optimize for your brand name, and that way you come up and you can control really the conversation via Google about your brand, if that makes sense. That's reputation marketing 101, right? So I don't know. I would start there. Something else you could do, like I said, is back out a little bit. If you take a look at like South Carolina, or 12 months, we could actually bring it back, like let's say 5 years, and that's going to should bring you some more. Live music, Charleston, South Carolina tonight. These are just rising terms. You look for top terms. Again, same thing. It didn't really add much. Something else you could do is let's bring it back to 12 months, but back it out from Charleston to the whole state level. Okay. And this should bring back some different data. It looks like it didn't really. There we go. If we look at top, Charleston live music near me, live music Myrtle Beach, Greenville, South Carolina, is just a handful of them there. But, and again, guys, that was just one keyword, live music. I would try to figure out, like, if you're in a rock band, rock music, maybe, if, whatever type it is, you could start, just use Google to start trying to identify the types of queries that people might be searching for, and then dig in or drill into those keywords more, right? Those search queries more. For example, let's do this. And then I know it's about time, but you could go to Google and search for, like, if I said live music, actually let's do live music, and it might not, yeah, it will. If I did live music near me, something else searches related to live music near me, right? So you could find other types of related search queries that people in Charleston, South Carolina are search for, that could give you additional ideas for stuff to optimize for, right? So that's what I'm saying. You can use trends and Google search to find all these types of related search queries and things that you can start to use in your content marketing to start getting exposure for those for your band. Does that make sense? So that's what I would do. Hopefully that helped you out a little bit.